you guys are having a great time learning at home. I'm one of Mrs. Rice's favorite daughters, and I'm waving hi.
I'm her actual favorite daughter.
Okay.
There's Jillian and Alyssa, guys. They're excited to be with you today on week 5, day 1 of reading. So today we are going to read Arachne the Weaver. As you read, if you want to highlight or it says annotate, that just means on the side if there's something you want to write, like a question you have about something, or if something's interesting you might want to underline it, or if there's a word you don't know you might want to circle it. And then we'll also be completing the Notice and Wonder chart on this page. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and read it out loud for you. You can follow along. Arachne the Weaver. This should be somewhat familiar for you guys because we have read this one before. Not this exact version though, so might have some more information for us. Greek myths tell stories that seem unreal or made up. So it may be hard to take them seriously. For example, some stories are about angry gods. Others are about creatures made of both animal and human parts. But these stories had a big influence on the daily lives of the people of ancient Greece. Back then, people didn't have televisions or the internet. They didn't have Google. There was no way to quickly look up information. Instead, people turned to stories and legends to understand how the world worked. They made up myths to explain things about the world that they didn't understand, like thunder and earthquakes. They also used myths to make scary things seem less scary. The details of the stories changed from one telling to the next, but their outcomes mostly stayed the same. Okay, next paragraph. Ancient myths were not just used to explain natural events that we now understand through science. Myths also explained how the human race started. They explored what happens to people when they die. They also try to explain why people even exist. Myths also often entertain people. They were funny and interesting. Remember that there weren't TV episodes or movies in ancient Greece. People had to entertain themselves in other ways. But more importantly, myths told people how to live. They helped people learn how to tell right from wrong. Their lessons taught people the right way to act. The story of Arachne is one example of a myth with a lesson. Arachne was a young girl. She was famous for making thread by spinning it and weaving cloth. To weave means to make cloth by passing threads over and under each other. Her cloth was said to be the softest and most beautiful in, and the next page says, the land. So you can see how the picture shows the weaving tool that she used. And it went up and over in the threads to make the cloth. Okay. Some even thought it was made from gold because of her skills. Arachne thought very highly of herself. She thought she was the best spinner and weaver in the world. She was sure that no one could be as good as she was. One day, an old woman walked past Arachne as she was weaving. The woman asked her, "Who taught you to weave so well?" Arachne said that she had taught herself. She said she was the best spinner and weaver in the world. The woman asked, "Is it possible that Athena, the goddess of weaving, helped you? Could she have taught you to spin and weave without you knowing it?" Arachne had a lot of pride and vanity. So she replied, "No, not even Athena is as good as I am." The old woman then tore away her disguise. She wasn't actually an old woman. She was Athena. She was angry that a human could brag so much and compare herself to a goddess. Athena challenged Arachne to a contest. The rules of the contest were simple. Each woman would weave a cloth with a picture on it. Zeus was the king of the gods. He would choose the best one. If Arachne won, Athena would never weave again. If Athena won, Arachne would never spin or weave cloth again.
Mom, my friends are here and I'll be in the backyard.
Hundreds of people came to watch the two women weave. Arachne wove a cloth from the best silk. This silk was very thin. People said that the cloth was so thin it could barely be felt. But even though it was very thin, it was strong enough to hold 100 men. On the cloth, Arachne showed the gods acting foolish and doing bad things. Athena's cloth was different. She made the thread by using the sun's light and the clouds, or the sky's clouds. She also used fields. On the cloth, she showed the gods strength and greatness. Her picture showed how much she admired and respected the gods. It was obvious that Athena's cloth was better than Arachne's. Even Arachne realized this. She hid her face in her hands when she saw Athena's cloth. She was ashamed how much better her cloth was. In one version of the myth, Athena tore up Arachne's cloth into pieces when she saw the girl's picture of the gods behaving badly. She was angry that Arachne would be so rude and hurtful. Both women knew who the winner was. Arachne realized that she would never be able to weave again. Arachne was so ashamed and upset by her loss that she tried to kill herself. Athena stopped her because she felt bad for the girl. Athena wanted Arachne to keep her promise and never spin or weave cloth again. But she still wanted the girl to keep making beautiful cloths. So Athena changed her into a spider. That way she could keep spinning and weaving beautiful cloth as a spider without breaking her promise. Greek myths tell that all spiders are said to be the children of Arachne. This Greek myth shows that pride and vanity can be dangerous. It also shows that trying to compete against or embarrass the gods is dangerous. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. Next, you're going to have to do a notice and wonder. So remember that the notice is something that you noticed from the story. For example, it could just be taken right from the story. Like I noticed that, what was I seeing here? Arachne realized that she would never be able to weave again. So you can just take something that really stood out to you and write it as a notice. Another one could be, oh, this was a good one. The old woman tore away her disguise. Okay. So just go through and the ones that stood out to you, write them down. That's what you noticed. And the wonder is just questions you have. So maybe you had a question like, why did Athena dress like an old woman? You know, or how does Arachne feel as a spider? Just something that you wonder, that you don't know, that the story can't answer. Just something that you are wondering. So I gave you some suggestions if you'd like to write those down. Go ahead and write your own down. And tomorrow we'll be answering the questions for day 2. Now you'll always have this video available so you can listen to the reread, because that's what we'll be working with all week. So always come back to this video for the reread, and we'll work on the questions together in the coming days. Bye.